Hey guys, welcome to the Africa hunting series. In this episode of the series, I want to talk about common game, what they are, where they're found, and how it has become common. So your common game species, there's over 100 different variants across the country of Africa with your common game, but it's animals that are typically hunted on their first few safaris and are commonly hunted for bait when hunting cats. These animals include such as impala, zebra, wildebeest, domless, hartebeest, all these different species such as kudu, all kind of fall into your common game species list. Warthog are also in there. They're found throughout the entire country or continent of Africa. So we're going to dive into the common game species here. Speaking of warthog, we're going to start with the warthog. Warthog, again, like I said, are found throughout the entire continent of Africa. Some areas are better than others, but most safari operations have warthog on license and availability. You know, there's going to be some specialized hunt for the species, such as doing the desert warthog in Chad and Ethiopia, but as most common, a warthog is going to be just a game animal of opportunity and chance on any safari throughout your entire safari hunting career. You know, it might be a targeted species on the first one, but after that, it's just going to be one of those, if you see a big pig, you're going to take it type of deal. Next, we're going to talk about the zebra. Zebra is found, again, throughout most of the continent of Africa. Some areas are different with different subspecies, but it's a relatively available animal on license where you go. You're going to be hunting them for bait for a lot of times for lion and leopard. It's an animal, again, like a lot of people are going to look for one on their first one or two safaris, and then after that it can be maybe something added for bait or a different subspecies found, whether it's in Namibia for the Hartmann's mountain zebra, or the Cape mountain zebra in the Cape of South Africa, in the Eastern Cape, different things like that. These animals are going to be animals of opportunity after that, or you're going to be starting to tick boxes looking for certain species when you're getting into those specialty different varieties. But for most common plains game hunts, the zebra is going to be on the first one or two safaris wish list. Next, we're going to dive into the impala. The impala, again, another species that's found through almost the entire continent of Africa, ranging in two different subspecies, actually ranging in three different subspecies throughout the continent. They're reddish golden brown, found in numerous areas in an abundance of numbers. You're going to have, your southern impala, which is the southern part of Africa, which is going to be found in parts of Namibia, South Africa, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, southern parts of Tanzania. And then you're going to have specialty species such as the blackface or Angola impala, which is in Namibia. And then you're going to have your East African impala, which is found in Tanzania, upwards through Uganda and countries like that. But again, they're relatively common. They're just an add-on to a lot of hunts, a lot of bait hunts, a lot of camp meat type deal. They're found in great numbers in a majority of outfitting operations areas, and they just are a great hunt, great food for the table, and a great experience for most people. Again, first safari, second safari, a lot of young kids local to South Africa or Africa period, that's what they start out, as one of their first big game species is an impala, coming up in the ranks that way. And then obviously younger generations of American hunters going over there, they kind of start out again on impala. It's like the white-tailed deer here in America. They're not too far off on size, but they're found in a lot of places, and they're just a great hunt to start things off with on your safari hunting career. Next, we're going to talk about the springbuck. The springbuck is found in abundance in South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana. In South Africa, you got color variations of springbuck from you got your common South Africa springbuck, your copper springbuck, your black springbuck, your white springbuck. All throughout South Africa, you're going to find these in different areas and in high numbers. You're also going to have their Kalahari springbuck, which is a primary focus in Namibia. It comes down into South Africa a little bit and into Botswana, but mainly found in Namibia. That's the bigger species of springbuck. Body-wise and horn-wise, they're a lot bigger. But the springbuck is a species that's, again, on the first few safaris list, and then when you start getting into the color variations are kind of keyed on later on in safaris. Some people like to do the springbuck slam. There's actually safari packages based in South Africa just on the springbuck slam. And then obviously when you're wanting the bigger variety, the Kalahari, like you go to Botswana and Namibia for a majority of that, and it's just a way to get you to another country to try as well, especially in Namibia where they're primarily found and kind of where basically originated from. Then you're going to have your domless. Your domless found in South Africa is going to be your Tessabee, your blessbuck, and your bontabuck. And your blessbuck, you're going to have several different color variations between your common, your white blessbuck, which you see here, and then you have some other ones such as the yellow and the copper. That's other species that have been kind of brought into effect later on here in South Africa. And then also, like I said, your Tessabee and your bontabuck. Your bontabuck is a species that, you know, right now is hard to import to the United States, but hopefully that becomes easier later on. Hopefully the scientific data comes to play and it allows that to happen. And then you have your hartebeest. Your hartebeest species are found out through a lot of Africa. Again, your domless, you're going to have a lot of other domless throughout Africa, but that was mainly focused on the South Africa ones when I was speaking for the common, because South Africa is your first kind of range of safaris. But you're going to range up into your topies, your korrigans, your tiangs, all that stuff, and then you're going to have your hartebeest family, which there's a wide variety of hartebeests. Your red hartebeest is what is found in southern Africa, countries like Namibia, and in South Africa. Then you're going to have your species such as the Coke's hartebeest that is found in southeastern Tanzania and Kenya, no longer huntable in Kenya. And then you're going to have your species such as Liechtenstein's hartebeest that's also found in Tanzania and western and southern Tanzania. It's up into the northern part of Mozambique. They're in most of Zambia, parts of Malawi, northern and central Mozambique, and locally in southern Zimbabwe. Then you're going to have your Luel hartebeest, which is hunted primarily in CAR and Chad. This is like the countries that they're optionable right now, and they're found through other parts of Africa up there that are not commonly hunted. Then you're going to have your Numan hartebeests that are hunted only in the Omo Valley of Ethiopia. Then you're going to have your Western hartebeests, which have been hunted in Cameroon, Benin, and Burkina Faso in the past years. Moving on to the next species, which is wildebeest. Wildebeest are found throughout the entire continent of Africa, ranging in different subspecies and species as well. Starting off in South Africa, you have the primary species of blue wildebeest and black wildebeest. Those are the two separate species there. And then in South Africa, again, I've done a whole video on the benefits of South Africa and what it's done for wildlife and done for Africa hunting, but a lot of people again don't like the color variations, but you're going to have color variations in South Africa. And we're going to start out, you're going to have the golden wildebeest, you're going to have the king's wildebeest, you're going to have the royal wildebeest, which is pure white wildebeest. Those are some color variations that are found in South Africa, and we can go on a different topic with that in a separate video. But those are the species found in South Africa, and then you're going to work your way up into Mozambique, where you're going to have the Nyasa wildebeest that's in the southern part of Tanzania, central and northern part of Mozambique. Then you're going to get the white-bearded wildebeest up in the northern part of Tanzania. These are the wildebeest you see on National Geographic in the big migration herds throughout the Serengeti and and the Masai Mara and all that stuff. That's kind of what you see, and that's what a lot of people see when they think of wildebeest. It's actually the blue wildebeest subspecies that's known as the white-bearded wildebeest. Then you're going to have your Cook's wildebeest, which is only found in the Luangwa Valley of Zambia. So those knock off your primary species of wildebeest, subspecies, and color variations. Guys, wildebeest are a great hunt. They're a great safari. They're known as the poor man's buffalo. They can take a punch and keep on going. They're on a lot of first-time safaris wish list, and they're on a lot of key species wish lists as well, because you're going to have to travel, obviously, to Tanzania. You're going to have to travel to either Mozambique or Tanzania for another species, and then the Luangwa Valley for another species. So it's a great species to know about, and it's commonly found through a lot of different countries in Africa. There's a lot of, like I said, there's 100 variations of common game throughout Africa. You're going to have your kudus. You're going to have some of your small duikers that are, duikers are found throughout the entire country of Africa, ranging in different species, sizes, color variations, same with the duikers, the klipspringers, and, there's just a lot of different common species, but those are the main common species that I want to hit on for you guys as well. And then you're going to have a lot of questions about the caliber for choice for the common game. And guys, the best caliber of choice is your favorite elk hunting or deer hunting rifle. What you know how to shoot best works great for all aspects of common game. Some calibers are, like your 300s and your 7mm and your 30-06. Those are the, more properly, I would say, a better caliber. But, there's a lot of people that hunt with 25-06 and 270, and they work great. Just on those species such as the wildebeest and the kudu, you're going to want to make sure your shot placement is more adequate and more precise. But yeah, your favorite deer hunting rifle, favorite elk hunting rifle works perfect for any of the common game found in South Africa or across Africa for that matter. Another topic is scope choice. Guys, I'm not a huge gear guy. Your favorite deer hunting rifle, because in Africa you're not taking the shots that you're taking most of the time here in North America or in the Western North America for your mule deer and your elk or your coos deer. Any scope that you have on that you use well and know how to work good for these type of conditions will work perfect over there. Your common shot in Africa is going to be between 100 and 200 yards for the most part. Sometimes you might reach across a canyon or reach out across a plain, but very rarely are you going to be taking shots over 300 and 400 yards. let's talk about shot placement on the common game species of Africa. In Africa, the vitals tend to lie forward more on the game species, meaning they're up into the shoulder area more. So guys, take the shot triangle, go 2/3 up the leg and into the shoulder, and you're going to be aiming at the heart there. 2/3 up the leg, behind the shoulder at the elbow, you're going to be aiming into the heart lung area. It's, you know, a good book or a good video to get your holds of is Kevin Roberts' Perfectly Shot. He has Perfectly Shot 1, Perfectly Shot 2 in the books, and then his old video of Perfectly Shot shows you guys the anatomy and the shot placement for angles of different species. You know, eland's a little bit different because they have the paunch that lies forward on the left side. Just different things like that is to be able to educate yourself with a perfect shot. So get the book, The Perfect Shot, or the DVD, and study before going to Africa. But remember, always try to shoot a little bit more forward on the Africa game because the vitals do tend to lie further forward instead of further back, as they do here in North America. I want to talk about the kudu for a second. Again, it's a common game species, but I do believe that they have a little bit more value to them. I do believe they deserve to be almost in the glamour game category because they're so beautiful. The white chevron, the spiraling horns, the side stripes. Just the kudu is an animal that I believe deserves a little bit higher ranking. In all honesty, I don't believe any of these animals deserve a different rank between, you know, Mr. Warthog here, the white blessed buck, the wildebeest behind me, or the eland. I don't think any of those animals deserve a really different ranking, but a lot of people like to have them into categories because of pricing and so forth. But I believe the kudu deserves to be up there in the top. Because they're such a beautiful animal. They're found throughout Africa in different subspecies and different species. The two species being the greater kudu and the lesser kudu. In your greater kudu, you have your southern greater kudu and your eastern Cape kudu. So that's in South Africa. You have two different subspecies of kudu there. The eastern Cape kudu is a smaller bodied, smaller horned kudu found on the Cape coastline. And then your southern greater is as you move in southern into the interior of Africa, you start to get those throughout South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, Botswana, Zambia, and then up into Tanzania, you get what is called your eastern greater kudu, East African greater kudu. They are slightly smaller in horns, slightly smaller in body size than the southern greater kudu. The southern greater kudu is the biggest kudu out of all of them, and as you move up further into Africa, you get other subspecies of kudu as well. In Ethiopia, you get the Abyssinian greater kudu, which could be one of the hardest species to get. It's that between that and the next species I'm going to talk about that are the two hardest species to obtain, which is the Western greater kudu. The Western greater kudu is the farthest up kudu. It's a lighter colored kudu, smaller body, smaller horns. It's all the way up into Chad. That's where they're hunted right now. And then the other species of kudu is the lesser kudu, which is only hunted in Ethiopia and Tanzania. You have, you know, they're ranging through that Rift Valley area of Africa. They're a small, very small and dainty looking antelope. You know, a 30-inch lesser kudu is a great big bull. And it's amazing how beautiful these animals are. Their side stripes are more prominent, their markings are more prominent, and they're just a smaller antelope. But man, they are beautiful and they deserve to be up there in the glamour game as well. Speaking of the Western greater kudu, a lot of people consider the Western greater kudu the real gray ghost of Africa because they're so hard to get. I believe that and the Abyssinian greater kudu are the two hardest species or subspecies to get. And again, they're not animals you go for on your first safari. These are for serious Africa hunters, guys that are wanting to experience these countries. And again, collect trophy hunt. I believe trophy hunting, we'll do a whole nother video on this. Trophy hunting is the biggest and best thing for Africa because it brings value to these animals. But that's for a whole nother video. This is for the common game species, and I believe we're going to wrap it up with the kudu. As I said, kudu are found throughout Africa. They're probably one of the better tasting plains game species in Africa. They, you know, they're the size of an elk, like a cow elk is how I presume them. The southern greater kudu, it's like a cow elk or a small raghorn bull. They're big-bodied animals. They've been known to be called the gray ghost throughout Africa. Again, we talked about how I believe, you know, a lot of people believe the Chad, the Western greater kudu, is the real gray ghost of Africa. And they actually got the name because the very first pioneering safari hunters back in the days of Roosevelt and all them, they were hunting kudu, but they weren't hunting where kudu were actually found. So they thought they were very scarce and very hard to find. That's how they really got the name gray ghost. I believe it's a fitting name because they're just a gray kind of dark blue or light blue color almost. That is just an amazing animal that blends in very well to the African brush. And like I said, they're just an amazing animal. I think they deserve the name gray ghost, even though they're not as hard to find if they're hunted in the correct areas. Rifle, we're going back to the rifle choice for the kudu. Same thing, your favorite elk hunting rifle will be perfect. This is where you could be taking further shots across canyons and gullies and drainages in the areas that they're hunted where there's quite a few mountains, such as southern Africa, parts of Ethiopia, Chad, like places like that where there's little rolling hills and mountains that you're going to be hunting these around. You could be taking further shots. So take the rifle that you use here in North America for your western big game hunting that has a properly fitted scope, and you won't go wrong. You're going to spend a lot of time glassing for kudu. You might get lucky and see one driving down the road type of deal. It's just all opportunity type deal, but there's a lot of times you're going to be set out glassing looking for kudu, such as the lesser kudu in Ethiopia. When we hunted them, we would hike up into the mountains and we'd be glassing looking for them, and again, that's where the kind of further shots come into play. So having a rifle that you can reach out there 300-400 yards will be better fit for hunting the kudu species throughout Africa. The kudu is the second tallest African antelope species next to the eland, and the third largest next to the eland and the roan. They're great tasting, make great table fare, and something I believe should be on everyone's wish list when traveling to Africa hunting is a kudu. On every safari, I can hunt a kudu on every safari and be just happy. They make great life-size mounts, shoulder mounts, and even spectacular European mounts.